Ever wondered what happens when a Karen from the HOA meets a 2000 lb bull? You're about to find out. This is the story of Titan, the HOA Avenger. I'll never forget the moment my 2,000-pound Angus bull, Titan, obliterated Linda's pristine tulip garden, churning it into a muddy battlefield while she shrieked from atop a bird bath, clutching a salad bowl like a warrior's shield. But the real story began 10 hours earlier, when someone who had no right to touch my land snipped a wire. A wire that didn't just electrify a fence, but held back a force of nature from the manicured lawns of our overzealous suburban HOA. My ranch sits just outside the newly expanded HOA zone, a patch of freedom where I've raised cattle, chickens, and one fiercely territorial bull for decades. Titan had his pasture, I had my electric fence, and the world left us alone. That changed when the HOA, led by their new president, Linda, stretched their rules like a noose around our neighborhood, claiming land they had no right to, and trying to enforce their pastel-painted, policy-obsessed vision on folks who didn't care about mailbox fonts or grass height. I wasn't under their jurisdiction, but that didn't stop Linda, a whirlwind of micromanagement and yoga pants, from treating my ranch like her personal thief. She had complaints about everything: my barn's color, my haystack's height, even the smell of my compost. Her latest obsession was my electric fence, which she called aggressive and a threat to the community's aesthetic. I told her if she could keep Titan contained without it, I'd hand her the wire cutters myself. She countered with vague threats about zoning violations, citing a map older than my tractor. I thought it was all bluster. Linda was loud, annoying, but harmless. I was wrong. That afternoon, while I was delivering feed 2 towns over, my phone pinged with a chilling alert. The fence was offline. At first, I assumed it was a power glitch, but the backup kicked in and the gate logs revealed the truth. The bull gate had auto-released. The fence's current had been caught, and Titan, trained to sense freedom when the hum stopped, was loose. I floored my truck, envisioning my bull storming through suburbia. What I didn't know was that the chaos was already going viral. By the time I reached the neighborhood, residents had posted clips of Titan prancing like a rodeo king across pristine sidewalks, scattering poodles and toppling hedges. Linda's own backyard camera caught her confronting him with a pool noodle and a fanny pack, screaming about livestock laws before locking herself in a garden shed as Titan pawed the turf. My other cameras revealed the culprit. Linda, wire cutters in hand, directing a landscaper to snip the ugly wire. The second it was cut, the system logged the drop and the gate sprang open. Clean. Perfect. Documented. I pulled up to find HOA board members trying to corral Titan with patio chairs and hope like amateur bullfighters in a suburban arena. One guy tossed a yoga mat. Another offered kale chips. Titan blinked unimpressed and flattened a wrought iron bench. Linda emerged from her shed covered in potting soil, screaming about trespassing bulls and public endangerment. I ignored her, grabbed my Bluetooth override, and activated Titan's collar chime. His ears perked, and like a disciplined wrecking ball, he trotted back to me, tail flicking as if he hadn't just turned the HOA's landscaping into confetti. I gave him a beef pellet, led him home, and faced a stunned crowd. Linda tried to spin herself as the savior, but someone yelled, "You let him out, Linda!" Phones flashed, recording her face as it shifted from rage to panic. The landscaper, throwing her under the bus, shouted, "She told me to cut it. I didn't need to say a word." The truth was out. That night, I patched the fence, reset the system, and reviewed the footage. Linda hadn't just cut a wire. She'd tampered with a state-approved livestock safety system, risking lives. Titan could have hurt someone, but luck and training saved the day. The HOA had seen what happens when city rules meet rural reality, and this was just the beginning. The next morning, the neighborhood was quiet, like it had survived a stampede. Local news replayed drone shots of Titan barreling down Elia Lane and Linda cowering behind a recycling bin, clutching a broken clipboard. A viral clip dubbed him the HOA Avenger, set to dramatic music. I wasn't sure whether to laugh or brace for trouble. Titan, oblivious, napped in the barn's shade. By noon, Linda was passing out flyers, calling my ranch a public hazard while wearing a sun hat and sunglasses like a fugitive. She didn't know Titan had become a legend. Reporters called, neighbors whispered, and the HOA scrambled to spin the mess. Linda doubled down, rallying her loyalists, mostly new residents unaware of her reign, and marched to my property with a self-printed emergency directive. I watched through binoculars, popcorn in hand, as she reached my fence, demanding I remove the wiring, build a neighbor-approved wooden fence, and submit architectural plans for my ranch. I pointed to my new steel sign, private ranch, not HOA. Trespassers meet Titan. That should have stopped her. But Linda crossed the line, literally slipping onto my land to film a rant, accusing me of weaponizing livestock. She didn't taunt, didn't see Titan watching from the field, tail flicking. When she called him an oversized lawnmower with horns, he'd had enough. He trotted toward her, slow and steady. Linda, mid-speech, heard the hooves, turned, and froze. Panicking, she tried to climb my ornamental wagon wheel. It tipped, and she tumbled into a wheelbarrow of compost, legs flailing. Her followers filmed, one laughed. Titan snorted and walked away. Drama queen supreme. Linda, covered in muck, screamed about safety inspections. I called out, "Try an appointment next time." The HOA meeting was a circus. Linda, dressed like a martyr, accused me of domestic terrorism and played a doctored video of Titan. Someone shouted, "Play the real one." Residents' air dropped the original footage. Linda cutting the fence. Titan startled by a gnome, her hiding in a bin. Laughter erupted. The landscaper, my cousin, stood up. She paid me to cut it. Said it was decorative. The board suspended Linda pending investigation. She stormed out muttering about lawsuits. The next day, Linda filed a county complaint claiming my ranch violated zoning. I arrived with deeds, permits, and footage. The official laughed at her photoshopped monster bull images, dismissing the case but warning she might sue. I sent my cousin's audio, Linda, saying, "Cut it. He'll never know," to my lawyer ready for a counteroffensive. An insurance adjuster visited, charmed by Titan's manners, and ruled I was owed damages. Linda's claim for emotional trauma was laughed off. Her final gambit was an expert at another HOA meeting. Brent, a fake consultant who babbled about unstable fences. I handed over footage of Brent misidentifying a goat as a bull. The room roared. Brent fled. The board ousted Linda permanently, billed her for lawn repairs, and proposed a policy respecting rural operations. Days later, Titan wandered through an open HOA gate, rolling in Linda's sprinklers, flattening a flamingo. She charged with a rake, slipped into her koi pond, and emerged dripping algae. I leashed Titan and left without a word. That evening, I hosted a bull safety barbecue, drawing crowds with Titan t-shirts and a cake shaped like a broken HOA flyer. Linda watched from afar, defeated. The sheriff confirmed her complaint was void and hinted at charges for fence damage. Linda sent apology cards and a gift card for Titan, admitting she'd lost control. Weeks later, she moved away, staring at Titan one last time as her truck vanished. The neighborhood bloomed. Porch parties, shared tools, and a spring fair where Titan posed for selfies. The HOA's new rule protected rural land, and a plaque honored Titan for defending community sanity. I added a sign, "Welcome to the ranch, home of Titan. Don't touch the fence." Last person did moved. Titan still stands by that fence, ready for the next fight as peace settles over the ranch like a sunset behind his horns. Moral. Sometimes, the smallest actions can have the biggest consequences. Don't mess with what you don't understand, or you might just unleash a force of nature. If you enjoyed Titan's wild adventure and want more stories like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join us as we take on more challenges, share epic moments, and maybe even watch Titan in action again. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Subscribe now and become part of the legend.